So you then, from there, you moved out, you had a daughter, and you decided to take a...
I had a daughter first. I got married to my husband then, to her dad, because we were together for many, many years. And continued with my dad, and that is where it gave me the understanding of how to fight government and government issues, because in the housing movement you had to fight the government and the local councils. So it gave me an opening on that. Plus I had to go into law to study a bit of law, and so on. So from learning about analysis and testing and so forth, the diseases and such, I went on to housing, which gave me an exposure to finance, to local and central government policies, which I stayed with him for 13 years. Eventually, the government decided to amalgamate housing associations, so he went into retirement. Right now, the association, it was then called Trinity Housing Association, is now called, I think it's East London Housing, which is now the biggest housing association in London. Okay. Then I went into finance, working for a big shipping company. Then eventually in 1986, I left my first husband, moved out of the home with my 2 daughters and three animals, and moved into a council flat, and where I decided to set up my own business into traditional herbal foods.
What made you decide at that point that you wanted to take a different direction? It must have been quite a situation you found yourself in.
Well, I think the nice thing for me is I come from a very strong family of matriarchs. My great-grandmother, who was from the Fulani tribe, or Fulani nation, on the one side, and my other grandmother, who was from the Hausa tribe, and her husband, my grandfather. But they were very strong in herbalism, but they were fighters. Now, in the Caribbean, you know, a lot of women are single parents. Yeah. A lot of women are abused. And because of the fact that the men were the main breadwinners, the women never had professional jobs or well-paying jobs to raise their children, and they had lots of children. So I've experienced single motherhood from the most disadvantaged side, and knowing that these women were strong enough to raise their children, who became respectful professional adults, who then took care of their sad mothers through their lives. So they didn't have nothing else to live for but for their children. Now, I am a typical mother. I adore the dirt my children walk on. I love them to death, and I will do anything for them. So I always say to them, if I have to sweep the street to keep you alive, I will sweep the street. I have no pride when it comes to them.